Hey, this is Seth with SethPerla.com. I'm coming to you today from Pittsburgh, Colorado. I'm here to talk to you today about one particular topic that I've been thinking a lot about, and that is B2s BS, back to school BS. It's that time of year again. It's August, school's starting up, and I'm starting to see all these supply lists in the office stores. And schools are starting to send their supply lists to the families. While it's great for students to have school supplies, they're absolutely necessary. You need to have some certain things. The way that schools go about doing it really drives me nuts. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Hopefully you'll be able to make better decisions about what you're purchasing, and this will help you out a little bit. So first of all, what I'm seeing is that I see this year after year, and I taught for a long time. And what happens is that a group of teachers gets together, they put together this list, and they say, okay, this is what we're going to have the kids buy. I don't care if you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, or college, they often have these lists of resources that you need to buy. Well, first thing I want to say is there's a car coming by, and it's a noisy car. It's a truck. First thing I want to say is that listen to your gut. If you sit there wondering why are you being asked to buy this and it doesn't seem to make sense, don't buy it. There's no penalty, nothing's going to happen. You can always get it later. Don't worry about it. Just don't get it. You can get it later. Or get it and know you can return it. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about is that the people who choose which supplies to put on the list aren't always in agreement with each other. They've finally come to a consensus. They have all these things on the list, but everybody doesn't necessarily agree, so it's not written in stone or anything. So don't take it too heavily, okay? Next thing I want to mention is there's a lot of things on the list that just make no sense to me from an environmental or a sustainability perspective. For example, a lot of times students are required to bring boxes of tissue or paper towels into the classroom, which then leaves a teacher with the task of finding a place to store 100 boxes of tissue and 100 rolls of paper towels and all this excess supply stuff. Some teachers use it all year long, some teachers don't. It seems to me that it would be better to collect money from people and buy tissues in bulk as a school or something like that. I know schools have trouble with budgets and everything, but I just don't get, it's just not a one-size-fits-all thing. You really have to look at the particular classroom and see if you really need 100 boxes of tissue in the classroom. And it's also a lot of time on the families to go out and buy a million supplies. Another reason that it might be better to have a collective pool of money to buy certain things. There are a lot of supplies that are on the list that don't work for certain kids, particularly the kids that I work with. All I do is work with right brain students. The students that I work with are struggling in school. They're not great at organization. So highly organized systems, for example, using 3-ring binders, are not appropriate for these kids most of the time. If your kid likes 3-ring binders, great. But if the reality is that it sets them up for failure and it's too complicated of a system, do not buy a 3-ring binder. Get a very simple accordion folder system or a color-coded folder system or something like that. So a lot of schools will actually require that you get certain things like the binder or certain other things. I don't buy into that. If they require it and it doesn't work for your right brain student, do not buy it. Write an advocacy letter and tell them why you're not using it and what you're doing instead. Because you have to, the idea isn't to get everybody on the same system and standardize everybody and make them all robots. The idea is to help students to design systems that work for them as individuals that they can implement for the rest of their life. So that's really, we have classes to teach certain subjects, but we're also teaching them systems that they need. That's not necessarily a class, but we need to teach this stuff. A lot of left-brain kids pick this stuff up through osmosis. They're really good with it. They love organization. But your right-brain kids can really struggle with this. Guide them, help them, teach them to learn a system that is tailored to their needs and wants. Ask them what they want. Another thing that I tend to see a lot is a lot of requiring certain pens and pencils and like 4 boxes of this and that. And I think that kids, just like adults, should pick the pens that they actually enjoy using. It makes it more meaningful to them. They have more ownership of it, etc. So I could keep going on and on and on, but I'm going to cut it short here. Email me, tell me your story, ask me any questions you want about specifics about these supplies. But the gist of it is this: do what you need. If you're the student, pick what you need. Try different things. Don't be sold on just one thing, you know, or one way to do it. There are a million ways to do it. Do what feels right. Trust your gut. Try different things. See what works. See what doesn't work, and then pivot from there. I will say this too. I'm not a fan of spiral notebooks for right brain kids because they tend to get crushed and messed up, and papers tend to fall out of them, and so on and so forth. Again, I could go on forever. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go enjoy Pittsburgh, Colorado. Take care. Press stop, dude.